So we take x a mu measure space, y comma tau topological space. F is a map from x to y. Then the first result is, so omega is set of all subsets of y such that its inverse belongs to E. Okay, this set is a sigma algebra. It's a sigma algebra on Y. Okay, so it can be easily proved. Yeah. Okay. The actual result in a, suppose this x, so y function f is a set E belongs to omega, means its inverse image must be in E, right? Script E. So first one, okay, to prove the class of sets is sigma algebra. First to prove that the whole set, we know that f inverse of y is the whole set X. It belongs to sigma algebra because A is a sigma algebra, so y belongs to omega by the definition. Second point, so we know that the f inverse of E complement is f inverse of E whole complement, right? So we are going to use this property to prove that if E belongs to omega, then we want to prove that E complement omega prove பண்ணணும் இல்லையா? So E omega இருந்தால் f inverse of E எங்கே இருக்கும்? A இருக்கணும். A ஒரு எலமெண்ட் இருந்தால் அதோட காம்ப்ளிமெண்ட்டும் அதில் தான் இருக்கும். ஒரு செட் இருந்தால் அதோட காம்ப்ளிமெண்ட்டும் A இருக்கும். Right? And the first property படி f inverse of E complement தான் f inverse of E whole complement. So இது எங்கே இருக்குது? A இருக்கு. So என்ன கிடைக்குது? F inverse of E complement belongs to A. So by the definition E complement belongs to omega. Right? This is Roman letter 2. Roman letter 3. Suppose we have a collection of members of omega. So union omega இருக்குன்னு சொல்லணும். இப்போ En ஒமேகாவில் இருந்தால் f inverse of En Aல வந்துடும். Right? Since A is a sigma algebra, so union n from 1 to infinity, f inverse union, again this also in sigma algebra. Then we can take, since we know, since f inverse of union En is equal to union f inverse of En, n from 1 to infinity, n from 1 to infinity. So f inverse of union En, n from 1 to infinity, belongs to script A, implies union n from 1 to infinity En belongs to omega. Okay, so if we have countably many elements of omega whose union is in omega, therefore omega is a sigma algebra. Okay, this is for general map. The result is true for any map, right? So in addition, if f is measurable, function from x to x into y, then inverse image of every open set is measurable. So if E belongs to tau, then clearly f inverse of E is measurable. If f inverse of E is in A, by the definition of omega, this belongs to omega. So therefore tau is a subcollection of omega when f is measurable, the topology contained in the sigma algebra omega. So, okay. So now we recall the definition of Borel sigma algebra. Okay, consider this tau, right? Script B is the sigma algebra generated by tau. Okay, that is script now. Script B is a intersection of all algebras, right? Intersection of all sigma algebra containing tau. Okay, the members of this B is called Borel sigma algebra. Script B is called Borel sigma algebra. The members of script B are called Borel sets. Okay. Then C, the Borel sets can be characterized by the following. E is a subset of Borel set Y. E can be written as the countable union of sets. Okay, either Bn belongs to tau or Bn complement belongs to tau. Okay, so prove this. Let us take B star is a right hand side set of all subsets of Y such that E can be written as union Bn, n from 1 to infinity. Okay, with the condition that either Bn or Bn complement belong to tau for all n. Okay, so we should prove that this B star is a sigma algebra. Sigma algebra containing tau. So obviously B is the smallest sigma algebra. So every element of B can be written in this form, right? So every member of E of B, okay, can be expressed as a countable union of open sets, either open sets or closed sets. Okay, that is E equal to union Bn, where Bn belongs to open, that means Bn are open or Bn complement is open, that means Bn is closed. Okay. Next one, D, if F is measurable, and E belongs to script B, that is E is Borel set, then F inverse of E is measurable, right? Inverse image. But already we know that if we have tau is a subclass of omega, okay, or this result can be rewritten the following way. Suppose F is measurable, Then script B, or if a inverse image of E is in A, that means E belongs to omega, that's the meaning. So script B is a member of omega. Okay. So proof is very simple. E, we take E in B, then what about E? The characterization of E, E can be written as union Bn, Bn belongs to tau, or Bn complement belongs to tau for all n. This means F inverse of E is union of F inverse of Bn. What about F inverse of Bn? F inverse of, since tau is a subclass of omega, so Bn, okay, and Bn complement both belongs to omega implies F inverse of Bn and the F inverse of Bn complement belongs to omega. So therefore F inverse of E equal to union n from 1 to infinity F inverse of Bn. Each F inverse of Bn is a member of omega. Omega is a sigma algebra, so countable union of members of omega again member of omega. Sorry, if this omega means this is in A, sorry, this belongs to A. So A is a sigma algebra, so this belongs to script A. Therefore E belongs to omega. That means omega is a, B is a subclass of omega. So on the whole we know tau already is, tau is a, this is the smallest sigma algebra containing tau, and this belongs to omega, right? So we have a sigma algebra in omega in X, a Y, okay, sigma algebra in Y which contains all the open sets. Okay. So this from this we take the following. This is D last result in this regarding if F from X to Y is measurable function and G from Y to Z is a, so before writing this definition we is the result we write a definition. Okay, a function, let's Y comma tau is already we know Y tau or Y comma tau is let's Z comma right is a topological space, Z be a topological space. Okay, then a function G from Y to Z is Borel function. If it is called Borel function, it's called Borel function if G inverse of B is Borel set for every open set. V in Z. This is Borel set in Y, right? I write if, okay, that is if for every open set V in Z, F inverse of V belongs to script B, right? Already script B is a Borel sigma algebra in Y. Okay, this is called a Borel function. Okay, so next result if F from X to Y is measurable and G from Y to Z is Borel function, then F circle G is, or like G circle F, right? G circle F is measurable. Okay. The proof is left as exercise to you. Or a simple proof is very simple, right? G circle F is a function from X to Z. Right? Let us take a open set in Z. Then G inverse of Z, so you know G inverse of V is Borel set, right? Then Borel sets can be written as a union of members of tau, or Bn complement belongs to tau. Okay, what does this implies? What about the F inverse of G inverse of B? This is F inverse of union Bn. This is union F inverse of Bn. Okay, this Bn belongs to tau, or Bn complement belongs to tau. So anyway, Bn belongs to omega, or Bn complement belongs to omega. If Bn complement belongs to omega, Bn also belongs to omega. So here Bn belongs to omega. So F inverse of Bn belongs to A, union of F inverse of Bn belongs to A. So this belongs to A. Because of this belongs to A because Bn member of tau, or Bn complement belongs to tau, and tau is a subclass of the sigma algebra omega. That means Bn belongs to omega. Bn complement belongs to omega, Bn also belongs to omega for all n. So this is the reason. Okay. So union F inverse of Bn this is equal to union F inverse of Bn, n from 1 to infinity belongs to script A. Therefore, F inverse of G inverse So G circle F inverse of V belongs to omega, belongs to A. So we started with the open set in V, open set in Z, it belongs to A. G inverse, G circle F inverse V belongs to A, therefore G circle F is measurable. Okay. So the next one, before moving into the next result, we consider the following. We recall this. If F from x to minus infinity comma infinity is measurable, then for each real alpha, f inverse of alpha comma infinity is measurable, right? ஞாபகம் இருக்குதா? யாராவது அன்மியூட் பண்ணின்னு சொல்லுங்க. அன்மியூட் பண்ணின்னு சொல்ல முடியுமா? யார் அன்மியூட் பண்ணியிருக்கீங்க? ஞாபகம் இருக்குது தானே? ஓகே, that is set of all x in capital X such that f of x greater than alpha. This set is measurable, right? This is measurable. ஞாபகம் இருக்குதா? ஓகே, இந்த ரிசல்ட் நான் யூஸ் பண்ணி தான் இன்னும் அடுத்த ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி ப்ரூவ் பண்ண போகிறேன். ஃபிஃப்த் தியரம். ஸோ லெட்ஸ் fn from x to be measurable functions. So f1 from x to minus infinity gamma infinity be measurable for n from 1, 2, 3 and so on. Okay, then we are going to prove the following things. First one, supremum fn, infimum over fn over n fn, limit n tends to infinity, supremum fn, right? Limit supremum fn, limit infimum fn. Okay, these four functions are measurable. Okay, so இதை ப்ரூவ் பண்ணணும்னா சுப்ரீமம் மட்டும் சொன்னால் போதும், மற்ற எல்லாமே சிமிலராக வந்துடும் இல்லையா? ஓகே, லெட்ஸ் g of x equal to supremum over n fn of x. Okay, sorry, we define supremum fn is a function. So g equal to supremum over fn over n. Supremum fn, supremum taken over n. Then, so by the definition, for each x belongs to capital X, g of x equal to supremum over n fn of x. இல்லையா? இப்போ நான் g actually the result recall பண்ண சொல்ல other way also true, right? If எழுத வேண்டாம். If fn is measurable, if and only if for each real alpha f inverse of alpha comma infinity is measurable. So I'm going to prove that. Let us take for each real alpha, we are going to prove that F inverse of, no, here G inverse of alpha comma close to infinity is set of all x in capital X such that G of x greater than alpha. Okay, I'm going to prove that this is measurable, right? That is set of all x in capital X, G of x greater than alpha. So if alpha of x is greater, G of x is greater than alpha, right? Then G of x is the least upper bound, right? G of x is the least upper bound of Fn of x. Alpha is a number smaller than G of x, so alpha is not the upper bound of Fn of x. It means what? There is a n such that, okay, G of x greater than alpha means what? There exists a n in natural numbers such that Fn of x greater than alpha. Right? This is not a, alpha is not a upper bound of Fn. Okay. If other way also true, if there is a n greater than n in natural numbers, Fn of x greater than alpha, then alpha is not upper bound of the collection of Fn of x. So other way also true. So this G inverse of alpha comma infinity equal to set of all x in capital X such that G of x greater than alpha can be expressed in the following way. It's the union n from 1 to infinity, set of all x in capital X, Fn of x greater than alpha. If x is in this set, first set, it belongs to at least one set in this. Okay, the other way also true. If we find a x in one set, it belongs to the first set. So therefore x in capital X, G of x greater than alpha is expressed in this form. Since each Fn is measurable, okay, the last set is nothing but union this is union n from 1 to infinity Fn inverse of alpha comma infinity. Okay, so this all the sets are measurable, so union is measurable. Okay, since Fn is measurable, Fn inverse of alpha comma infinity is measurable. So union of Fn inverse of alpha comma infinity is measurable. Therefore, G inverse of alpha comma infinity is measurable. Therefore, G is measurable function. Okay, so if you have a sequence of measurable functions whose supremum measurable, similarly you can prove. Similarly, we can prove that H equal to infimum over n Fn is measurable function. Okay, so what about the limit supremum, limit infimum? Okay, by the limit supremum definition, limits supremum n tends to infinity Fn. By the definition, this is infimum over n supremum of Fk, where k runs through n plus 1 and so on. Right? This is the limit supremum, and the limit infimum n tends to infinity Fn is supremum over n infimum over k greater than or equal to n Fk. Okay, by the previous two parts, supremum Fk measurable, infimum measurable, so these two are measurable. The above two are measurable. Okay, the above two functions are measurable by the previous, by the above, by the first part, right? Okay, so supremum infimum measurable, limit supremum, limit infimum of f1, sequence of measurable functions measurable. Okay, next corollary of this theorem. Okay, so we recall the limit supremum, limit infimum concept of sequence of real numbers related to the convergence of the sequence. Okay, suppose an is a sequence in R, sequence of real, right? Limit supremum an is infimum over all n by the we rewrite again we write k greater than or equal to n a k. Limit infimum an is supremum over n infimum k greater than or equal to n a k. So it is clear from this definition that limit infimum an less than or equal to limit supremum an. Okay, and the sequence an converges if and only if limit infimum an equal to limit supremum an. If both are equal, then we say that an convergent. The common value is the limit of an is a common value of limit infimum, limit supremum. Limit is the common value, right? So the same thing can be applied to sequence of functions. So let us consider corollary of this. Let us consider a sequence of measurable functions. Such that fn of x converges pointwise. Okay, for all x in capital X. So fn of x, fn point converges pointwise. Fn converges pointwise on x. Then the limit function, the limit of fn, pointwise limit, right? Limits pointwise. Limit of fn. If fn are measurable, the limit is also measurable. Is also measurable function in x. Okay. The proof is very simple. So proof of the corollary, let f of x equal to limit of fn of x, n tends to infinity. Then f of x is written as limit supremum n tends to infinity f of x, fn of x. That is, f is limit supremum n tends to infinity fn. Okay, and this is measurable, right? So f is measurable. So here pointwise, okay, the corollary says that the pointwise limit of a sequence of measurable functions is measurable. That is the statement we understand from the previous corollary. Okay, so now we take some nice examples of measurable functions. You write the every continuous function measurable. அது பார்த்தோமா ஏற்கனவே. இப்போ ஸ்பேஸ் எப்படி எடுத்துக்கணும்னா, சப்போஸ் எக்ஸ் ax, we take the R, M is a signal algebra, small m is the Lebesgue measure. It's a Lebesgue measure space. We consider Lebesgue measure space, right? Then f from R2 minus infinity comma infinity is Lebesgue measurable function. If the same thing, right? If for every v open v in R, for every alpha, for every real alpha, f inverse of alpha comma infinity closed is Lebesgue measurable set. Okay, this is if and only if case. Now the results on this is, first result, every continuous function is measurable. Every continuous function is measurable. Okay, here, so proof is very simple, right? So let us take all the open sets are measurable in R, right? Since all the open sets are measurable, Lebesgue measurable in R. So inverse image of open set is open here, and since and f is continuous, so inverse image of any open set, the inverse image of the extended real number system minus infinity to infinity under the function f is measurable. Under f is open, it is measurable. Here for the restricted thing, we only take f from R to R here. Okay, every continuous function from R to R is measurable. Instead of taking extended real number system, only we take this. In R, every open set in R under f is measurable, right? So every continuous function is measurable. So now we take the definition of simple functions. Okay, the function denoted by S from X to R is said to be simple if its values are finite. The range of S is finite set. Okay, range set is finite. Okay, that means what's the meaning of range? Collection of values of S, right? range of this. Then you can partition the x based on the range, right? So let alpha 1, alpha 2, etc., alpha n be the distinct value of values of S. That means the range set, that is range set of S is the set alpha 1, alpha 2, and so on, alpha n. Then we define the set EI equal to set of all x in capital X such that S of x equal to alpha I. Then, so one thing is clear, that the first one is EI intersection EJ is empty for I not equal to j. That is, okay, this is true for I from for each I, for each I from 1 to etc. n. So that is E1, E2, etc. En. This is mutually disjoint collection. So class of mutually disjoint. Disjoint sets in X. And the second condition is, okay, X is nothing but a union of EI from 1 to. Okay, so we have, okay, partition of X, that's all. So simple, for any simple function on X, okay, every simple function creates a partition of X. These two can be easily proved. Now we relate the simple function and the characteristic function. Okay, recall the characteristic function. If E is a subset of X, then define the characteristic function. Characteristic function from capital X to R, capital X to R. This is Guy symbol, right? Guy E, defined by characteristic function value is 1 if X belongs to E, 0 otherwise. 0 if X does not belong to E. Okay. Then the simple function can be written as a linear combination of characteristic functions. So theorem, let's S from X to R be a simple function with distinct values whose values are right, whose values are finite. Values are denoted by alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha n. Whose values are alpha 1, alpha 2, etc. alpha n. Then this simple function can be written as the linear combination of characteristic function of EA. Okay, summation I from 1 to n, alpha I product characteristic function EI, where the new set is EI. So where EI is the set of all x in capital X such that S of x equal to alpha I from 1, 2, 3, etc. n. It is clear that each EI is different from other E's, and the union of EIs are whole X. Okay, the theorem can be easily proved using, okay, the value just by the definition of function. Okay, so next result is, okay, if simple function is measurable, so every simple function can be represented by this. So this is a representation of simple function. So every simple function has the representation. Guy So if I write a simple function, then it is written as a linear combination of characteristic function, right? So if we take a simple function, then it has a characterization alpha I, okay, representation. It's a representation of simple function. Okay, so every simple function depends on this EI set and alpha. Okay, so next theorem is a simple function S from X to R is measurable if and only if each set EI is set of all X in capital X such that S of X equal to alpha I is measurable for each I. Each is written there, I from 1 to 3 etc. n. Okay, here we write let alpha 1, alpha 2, alpha n be the distinct values of S. Okay, so proof is very simple, right? Assume that S is measurable. The inverse image of open sets are measurable, and inverse image of closed sets also measurable. Right? So write EI, so by the definition, okay, for I from 1 to 3 etc. n, EI is set of all X in capital X such that S of X equal to alpha I. This is S inverse of singleton alpha I. It's an interval. Singleton alpha is a closed interval. Inverse image of interval is measurable. So therefore EA is measurable. EA is measurable. Set. Okay. Suppose each conversely, assume that E1, E2, etc. En are measurable. Then we have to prove that inverse image of open sets are measurable. So for that, let us take, if the V is an open set in R such that, okay, for example, then what about the inverse image S inverse of V? S inverse of V contains E if alpha belongs to S, right? If this is union of EI, where if alpha I contained in V. Okay, if alpha I belongs to V, then S inverse of alpha I, that is VI, contained in S inverse of V. Okay, this varies over I. Each, here only there are finitely many EI, so S inverse of V is, okay, finitely union of finitely many. S inverse of V is the union of EIs. Not at all, not necessarily all EIs, not necessarily all E's. Some E's, right? If okay, if E is in the union, means alpha I belongs to V. That's the point. Okay, so S inverse of E is, okay, each EI measurable, union of EIs are measurable, so S inverse of V is measurable set. Therefore, S is a measurable function. So, the characterization of measurability of S depends on the set EA. Okay. இது வரைக்கும் ஏதாவது டவுட் இருக்குதா? அடுத்த கிளாஸில் என்ன பண்ணோம், நான் நெகட்டிவ் மெஷரபிள் ஃபங்க்ஷன் கேன் பி அப்ராக்சிமேட்டட் பை சிம்பிள் ஃபங்க்ஷன்ஸ் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். சிம்பிள் ஃபங்க்ஷன் என்ன, அதோட ரேஞ்சு ஃபைனைட், ரைட்? ரேஞ்சு ஃபைனைட். எஸ் வந்து சிம்பிள் ஃபங்க்ஷன், ரேஞ்ச் வந்து α1 α2 αn இருந்தால் ஒவ்வொரு பாயிண்ட்டுக்கும் இன்வர்ஸ் இமேஜ் பார்க்குறேன். இஐங்கிறது என்ன, எலமெண்ட்ஸ் whose image is αi, அதாவது ஆல்ஃபாயோட இன்வர்ஸ் இமேஜ், எஸ் இன்வர்ஸ் ஆஃப் சிங்கிள்டன் αi. ஓகே, இப்போது இந்த செட்டெல்லாம் மெஷரபிள், எஸ் மெஷரபிளாக இருந்தால் அதர்வே ஆல்சோ ட்ரூ. இந்த செட்டுக்கான எப்படி இருக்கும், ஒரு எக்ஸ் 2 இஏஇஜியில் இருக்காது, ஏன்னா ஒரே எலமெண்ட்டுக்கு ஆல்ஃபாயும் ஆல்ஃபா ஜேயும் இமேஜாக இருக்க போகிறது. அதனால் இதெல்லாம் டிஸ்டிங்க்ட். ஏதாவது ஒரு எக்ஸ் எடுத்தேன்னா எஸ் ஆஃப் எக்ஸ் வந்து ஆல்ஃபா ஐ ஃபார் சம் ஐ. அதனால் எக்ஸ் எங்கே இருக்கணும், ஃபார் சம் இஐயில் இருக்கணும். அப்போ எக்ஸ் வந்து சப்செட் ஆஃப் யூனியன் இஐ, already EI subclass of X by the definition of EI. So X equal to union EI. Okay, every simple function can be, important part na, every simple function can be written as a linear combination of characteristic functions.